Hi everyone, it's Lisa here for Honeybee Stamps. In today's video, I'm sharing how I use the piece of cake stamps and coordinating dies plus the Back to Basics pattern paper to create a fun, whimsical birthday card. So here's a quick look at the piece of cake stamp set and the Back to Basics 6x6 pattern paper. Now I'm going to be using the coordinating dies for this stamp set too. All the products are going to be linked below and you'll be able to find them over on my website as well. So I picked the white and black pattern that has tiny random polka dots. I feel like this is perfectly sized for this cake stand and it won't be overpowering. I placed the paper in my MISTI. I'm going to stamp the cake stand using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and then I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine with the coordinating die. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the slice of cake, the flower, and 2 leaves using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I'm going to color those with my Copic markers. Now, you see I stamped the candle, but I decided not to use it. I should have used the pattern paper for the candle. That would have been really cute. Maybe I'll do another one like that. To get started with my Copics, I'm going to start with Y21 and I'm going to cover the entire cake area. Then I'm going to do a thin line of E31 for a bit of shading, and then I'm going to go back over that with Y21. Now, it's at this point that things are not going the way that I had envisioned them, but I'm not giving up on this. I'm going to keep working with it. I'm going to use my blender pen and remove some of the color from the center, and I'm okay with it so far. So we're just going to keep pushing through with it. So I decided to go ahead and use R11 to color the whole icing area in, and then a little bit of R21 for shading. And then I'm going to blend that out just a bit with the R11 again. Now for my flowers, I'm going to use G40 for the lightest color. And then I'm going to do a tiny bit of shading there in the center with G99 and then blend it out with G43. And then I'm going to use for the flower Y02 to color the flower in and Y15 to add a tiny bit of shading, and then just touch it a little bit with Y02 just to blend out a few of those areas. So I'm going to go ahead and run these through the die cutting machine. Now while I was over there, I went ahead and I partially die cut the cake stand and cake slice so that they would end up being one solid image so that I could glue all of my pieces to one piece instead of trying to work with separate pieces. I just find it easier to be able to glue everything to one piece. Now you could easily stamp the 2 images together. So stamp the cake slice just as if it's sitting on that cake plate, and then just fussy cut those out, and you could use that instead of doing partial die cutting. So after I get everything arranged, I decided the cake slice was just not cutting it for me. So I'm going to grab my polychromos and I'm going to add a little bit more color to this thing. I guess you could say I'm going to try to breathe some life into it. So I'm just grabbing colors that are a shade or 2 darker than my Copics that I used. Now I love using my polychromos over my Copics. I find it's easier to get into those tight spots, and I think that this is starting to look so much better already. So I decided that the back side of the pattern paper I used for the cake stand would be perfect as a backdrop for my cake stand and cake slice. So I'm going to go ahead and run that through the die cutting machine. I'm also going to run 3 or 4 more of these through the die cutting machine with white paper. Now I just used the nesting hexagon honey cuts for this, and I'm going to stack those together with my tape runner just to give it a little bit of dimension. Now I went ahead and used my tape runner to add that cake stand and cake slice to the hexagon. Next up, we're going to go ahead and stamp the sentiments using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I'm just using white cardstock. I'm going to trim them down with my paper trimmer. Now, I decided that I wanted to use the word die that comes with the coordinating die set for the stamp set. It's a little love word, and I wanted to use that on the card also. So I ran that through the die cut machine several times, used some liquid adhesive to stack those together. I decided though that I wanted it to be black, so I just came in with a black Copic marker and colored over the top of it, and then I was good to go. Now, I decided that my card base was just a tad bit plain, so I ran a piece of 80-pound cardstock through my die cutting machine in an embossing folder. Now, you can use any embossing folder you have, or you could skip it entirely. So I'm using my tape runner to adhere that hexagon and cake to the front of the card with my T-ruler just to make sure everything is centered and straight. I'm using mounting foam strips to adhere the sentiment strips and liquid adhesive to go ahead and place that word down. And then I'm going to finish this off with gold sequins. I did fuss a little bit with the placement of the word love, but I ended up placing it right above that first sentiment, and I really like the way that this has turned out. So let me know what you think about this fun, whimsical birthday card in the comments below. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you'll click the subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified of new content to the channel. For more information about the products I used, head over to the Honeybee Stamps website, and I hope you have an amazing day.